Okay, student, welcome back to my class. In this session, we will talk further related to research, qualitative research. In this session, we will talk a topic related to how to formulate a research question, yeah, as part of your research proposal. Okay. Research questions take the purposes and the objectives of the research. Okay, remember this, yeah. Purposes and objective of the research are the main sources of your research questions. And after that, research questions narrow both purposes and objective into specific, concrete areas of focus, and it also narrows the boundaries of the research and help the researcher to decide where to go in the research. So if you have a very good formulated research question, it will give you very clear working parameters, and you have concrete areas of focus. It means you determine the area about your study, yeah. And then after having a good research question, you may have a very obvious and clear direction regarding your research, what to do next, where, and who, what, and everything, yeah, related to your research. So, what are the sources of research questions? We can start by asking this question: where do research questions come from? Okay, the first one, any research question come from the knowledge of literature on the topic. It means if you have a very good reading on particular issue that you are trying to study, you will have a very strong research question, and then you have to have a very good understanding on theoretical literature related to the topic you are trying to study. So this is like what I have mentioned earlier. Your ability, your skills in reading, your comprehensive reading skill is really important in conducting a research, since you have to come with very comprehensive view, theoretical view or literature related to the topic that you are trying to uh, investigate. And then the second source of research question is an awareness of the implication, practicability, and limitation in conducting the research. It means here it refers to your ability in grasping, after reading the literature, maybe some previous studies, and then the implication of certain method or ways or strategy, and you have your uh, view or perspective on the implication of applying that method or that strategy, and how it may be applied, or practiced by practitioner. For example, in the context of classroom, when the previous studies mention how picture may help students memory in memorizing vocabulary, for example. So the practitioner, the teacher, or the one who used the research in their classroom, they they will see on how it can be applied in the context of classroom. Okay. And then apart from that, since you have a very strong or critical ways in understanding the research report from previous study, and then you understand there are or there is limitation may appear based on your understanding. So you try to fix the limitation, or you can extend the limitation in your own research. So, whereas the overall research identifies the field, the main topic, and direction of the research, by formulating research question, you as a researcher can ask for specific, explicit answer from the outcomes of the research. It means uh, if I read your report, I will go to the section of your research question, and then I can imagine what kind of specific and explicit answer that may appear but in the end of your research report, and what kind of discussion will go through with your study. Okay, so remember this: literature and theoretical literature play significant roles in formulating research question, and then your awareness or your perspective on the of the implication and practicability and limitation in conducting the research may influence your decision in making research question. Like for example, uh, is it possible to conduct this? What is my limitation in conducting this research, and so on. If you have limited resources, for example, like you don't have, let's say, you don't have the tools or capacity to have a very deep analysis procedure, and then you try to limit the research question to fit with your your let's say your ability and your limitation. Okay, and then we go to the next things like what kind of research question are there. DeVos in 2001 notes that actually there are two fundamentals of research question. The first one, it may ask about what is going on. By asking this question, you may come with description about what is going on, and then uh, why is it going on. It needs explanation, yeah, because you have to explain why is it going on. So these two fundamentals research question actually become most things being studied by researchers. So these are very useful pointers when when you try to start your research question. What is it going on? It deals with description about the event, and why is it going on? It deals with explanation about the first thing you asked earlier. So and then devising your research questions, you have to at least follow some suggestion related to research question. The first one, you have to remember that your research question should fit for purpose. For example, you want to come with descriptive, explanatory, causal, or evaluative, or exploratory. When you decide you need to describe phenomenon, for examples, and then you have to decide what kind of question that may lead you to to descriptive uh, research. If you want to explain why is it uh, happening, for example, and then you have to make or formulate question that allow you to come with explanatory reports. And also when you try to explain uh, an event or uh, a things due to other things, like caused by other things, and then your question should uh, uh, enable you or encourage you to go to the to to find the causal of two different things, and then and so on. Okay, if you want to go to evaluative, it means you want to see uh, how a plan has been conducted or has been implemented, and is it successful or not? What makes things uh, successful or failure and everything. And exploratory, if you want to see for further in certain phenomenon or cases. And the second one, make your research question as brief, clear, specific, concise, and precise as possible. Uh, Never make a question or research question more than one single sentence. Yeah, okay, a single sentence. Don't use complex sentence in a research question. And number three, if you have more than one research question, make sure that you connect them. Okay, you connect them by showing the logical between them. Otherwise, people will be curious or confused by your two or more research question without any clear logical relationship between them. So, for example, if you ask about a reading activity, for example, then your second question should deal with the same idea but from different perspective, but you know you have to be relevant to the first one. And number four, if you have one research question with several subsidiary questions, it means one question with more than one components inside your research question. Again, you have to make clear relationship. You have to be able to show the, for example, the logical between the questions, the chronological or the empirical. So not only between the subsidiary questions, but between among the subsidiary question, not about the main question related to the subsidiary, but also among the subsidiary. You have to be able to have so clear or obvious path among them, and also make sure number five, make sure your research questions are very focused. Don't be too narrow. Don't be too broad. Be you know be focused on one thing. Okay. Remember this. If you want to have possible research to be executed or conducted, please make sure your research question answerable. It means it can be answered. Yeah. Of course, you need to collect the data, analyze the data, and then come with your conclusion to answer the question. But make sure that it is answerable. If you ask question that is impossible or very difficult to be answered, it will influence the next stage of your research design. Yeah. For example, if you ask uh, a question that maybe it's so hard to answer, like can any creature live in planet Z, for example, and without any clues, any information, any relevant literature talking about the planet and about the living creature in there. So it almost impossible to have the answer for your research. Yeah. So try to be to make sure that your question is answerable. So this is the example of how to personalize your research question. For example, the question is like this: do students work better in quiet rather than noisy condition? So you have to be able to personalize, yeah, the question into like this: who are the students? You should be clear about the students. Maybe students might be 15-year-old males and females in school, or I don't know. You can declare the students. And what is meant by work better? Obtain a high score maybe, or better in cooperation maybe, working together, or working independent, maybe. I don't know. It depends on your working parameters. Yeah. The question should lead you to a clear definition of work better. And what is quiet and noisy in that question? Yeah, quiet might mean silence, or I don't know. It can be others. Noisy might mean having moderately loud music playing, like so many sound around the students. It means noisy. I don't know. It depends on how do you operationalize your research question. So the question: do 15-year-old male and female students in school obtain a higher score on such and such a mathematic test when tested when there is silence rather than when there is loud music playing? This is the long form of the question, but actually you can come with the real form of the question, like I mentioned earlier. Do students work better in quiet rather than noisy condition? But later you will declare who are the students, what is meant by work better, and what is quiet and noisy. Okay, how many research questions should I have? Andrews, 2003, and Simon and Creswell suggest one central research question with or without several subsidiaries. White suggests no more than 3 or 4. Creswell in 2012 suggests 5 to 7 in qualitative research or more. It can be so many questions you can drag from your ideas. Too many research questions might indicate that the scope of the research is too broad and ambitious and is impractical. It means it's hard to operationalize. Lacks focus, lacks precision and specificity, and is poorly operationalized and is insufficient. Yeah, okay. So avoid this. Yeah, avoid too many research questions. Many novice researchers have maybe 3 research questions. Okay, but it can be changed. It depends on your inquiry. So the things that you have to remember in conducting in formulating research question, I have make some notes here. The first one: any research question should be laid in a strong research background. It means that if you want to come with, or the reader to come with, why do you ask that question, you have to be able to show the logical frame of the rational framework of your question. It means your background. So be a good writer in research background. It means strong means you don't go too broad, you don't go too narrow, and you try to drag your readers' attention to the research question, and you come with relevant information, theories, literature, previous studies that can make your reader understand why you come with that question, why that question, why not other question. And then the other thing is research questions require you to be able to break down into operational key terms that may help you to have better views of what and how you are going to study the central issue of your study. It means mostly in when I help my students to work with their research, the first thing I ask from them is you can start with your title, for example. Can you define the components of your title? What does it mean of each component, for example? If you make a title about teaching vocabulary using blah 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 blah, and maybe I will ask you, what do you mean by vocabulary? So you have to be able to define define it in operational definition, not theoretical. The Your reading on theories will help you to, to develop your own or your own definition of the components in your, particularly in the context of your study. So it doesn't mean that your key terms should should be, taken from experts, but you can use the experts' views or writing to help you to de- to define your own key terms, to be more operational and contextual to your research ideas or the central issue of your study. Next, research questions will lead you to relevant theories and previous studies. So make sure you use recognizable terms in your research. Don't make it up. Yeah. If you use your own term, and it will be very difficult for you to find supporting literature that help you to better understand your own research, or other people will have reference to your ideas. So make sure you use recognizable terms in terms of research question. It means that you grab from relevant theories and literature to start with. And research question will be the main consideration in constructing your research methods. So based on, like I have told you earlier, if you want to have a descriptive study, it means your research will be descriptive. Your instrument will help you to find descriptive data, and it will lead you to descriptive discussion of your findings. So be by formulating research question, it will guide you to particular way of construction of your research method. And research question will be all your findings and discussion about. So be clear from very beginning. If you cannot have clear understanding on your own research question, it will be very hard to declare whether you have the finding or not, because the finding is the answer of your research question, and discussion is the elaboration of your finding. So be clear from very beginning. And the last, research questions will be the most essential part to grab your reader's interest to read your report. They will try to see whether it is interesting or not, it is important or not, it is essential or not, it is significance or not. So if you formulate very generic research question, like it has been questioned by many researchers before, people will not read your reports because it's so common things. Yeah. So try to grab their interest by providing strong research question. Okay, this is very important issue. Okay, so in conducting qualitative, mostly we start with question using question words like 5W and 1H, like what, where, when, why, who, and so on, and how. You can start with that, because if you opens chance for you to have qualitative analysis on your data, on the data. If you ask question like yes and no, question like is it blah 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 blah, or are there blah blah blah, the answer will be yes or no. It will not help you to elaborate your findings in discussion. So be qualitative in formulating your research question like that. Okay. And then what else important about research question? You can read many literature about this. So your small project now is, I will ask you to read some articles published in 2021 or 2022 related to the topic that you are interested. Try to read one strong article that you think important for you, and try to and write down the title of the articles and also the information about the authors and where where the article is being published, and then if you can find research question, try to take it and write it. If you can find it, if you cannot find in the form of question, you have to make your own. Maybe one, two, or three research question. It depends on the articles. How to see it? You can see you can read the title, and then you can go to the discussion section and the finding. If you find if you find three findings or more, then you can formulate three or more question. It depends on the findings. So read the articles, put the information about the articles, and then provide the research questions. Okay, and then of course you need to send the articles as well, the soft copy of the article, so I can read where did you get the question from, based on the title, based on the findings and discussion in the article. Okay, I think it's clear. Okay, so do that soon, and you don't have to make a too long analysis on that, as long as you can provide the all things that I ask. Yeah, like the title, the information about the articles, like the authors, the journals published the articles, and so on. Okay, I think that's clear. If you have any question, you can leave your question in the comment section.